What is next for Nick Walker? I mean, this has been one of the worst showings of all time in terms of the physiques that he's brought in the past. Now, obviously, him as an amateur, it's probably still a little better than his amateur days, but since turning pro, there's been quite a few different versions of Nick. There's been the more streamlined version, winning the Arnold 2021, which I think is probably Nick's best look of all time in terms of putting everything together. Not just all the mass, not just all the conditioning, not just, no, like he had enough muscle. His waist was streamlined in that show while bringing great conditioning. That was Nick's best version. Other versions, we've seen him chase size, and it's just a lot of versions of him have been more so trying to come in bigger. And I do understand to a certain point because someone like Nick, he can't really do a lot in terms of changing his structure, which is the biggest issue. All he can do is improve on the things that he's strong in. His freak factor. The guy's a freaking freak. He's a freaky freak. But at the same time, the freakier you get, the more your waist becomes more of an issue because you can only put on so much muscle in your limbs, back, and chest before it starts to go to the rest of your physique, like your waist. And although he was saying throughout the entire prep for the 2025 Olympia, his waist is smaller, more streamlined, like he just said all of it, which is completely fine. You cannot just add tons of freaking muscle. Well, most people can. I mean, you have some guys like, let's say a Samson, because Samson in 2021 versus 2024 had like the same waist, but he was like 40 pounds heavier. So, you know what? Yeah, you can do it. Some of these genetic anomalies who are just like, even Keon's ab split has gotten worse, but his waist size is the same since like 5 years ago. So it does exist, just not for Nick Walker. Unfortunately, some people can do it, some people can't. He's one of those physiques that just cannot handle any more weight. From his last show being the New York Pro to the Olympia, Nick put on like 7 pounds of stage weight. Like, why would you do that? Why would you do that? Your physique that you brought literally in 2022 took third at the Olympia, took freaking third. Now, I'm not saying to regress and bring a smaller version of yourself. I'm not saying to regress and, I don't know, come down size or nothing like that. All I'm saying is that you had quite a bit of muscle in the past. You have literally all the muscle in the world that you need right now to contend, maybe not win. I wouldn't have Nick Walker winning the Olympia because, like I said, when I think about an Olympia winning physique, Nick is not that. I'm sorry, unfortunately. You have some freaks in bodybuilding like a Marcus Rule. You have freaks like a Greg Kovacs. Like you have some freaky guys like just, big, like, Alexander Fedorov. Like impressive freaks, like 300 pounders. They don't all need to win the Olympia. Not all of them are going to win the Olympia. Some of them aren't even going to be top five. I think Lee Priest was a freak. His best placing was what, six? Although he was a short freak, he was a freak. So not every single physique, just because you're freaky and full of muscle, means you're going to make it to the pinnacle of bodybuilding. Nick Walker, I know he wants it so badly. This is at the end of the day about genetics. And on that stage, you have some of the best genetics in the world. You have Andrew Jacks, you have Sampsons, you have Hottie, you have, as much as I don't like the physique of Derek, I need to acknowledge the structure at least. He doesn't have biceps, but he has good structure. Nick doesn't have that. So what does a Nick Walker do? Does Nick Walker just retire? Does he wrap it up? Does he just say like, you know what, let me go be a cashier at a grocery store? What does a Nick Walker do when he goes through something like this? Well, for one, you don't give up. You just don't give up like that just because it didn't work out in your favor. You try again. But he needs to be realistic with himself. Like, back in the day when Kai Green was saying that he was going to win the Olympia, it's not that he was saying that out of pure delusion. Like, he could have won. In fact, I think he won like the 14 Olympia. Like in terms of his physique and what Kai Green brought compared to Phil, I mean, Phil is Phil. Like, I'm not saying that Kai deserved it, but I could have seen him picking up at least one. Phil is incredible though, so like, I'm not knocking it. This is not a situation like that. Nick Walker, he just doesn't have it, man. Now, can he fix any of this? Like, can he turn it around in a way to where he can contend? I really like the 2021 Arnold version of Nick. Like, I really like that version. I don't know if you guys have seen that show. I'm not sure if you guys have seen what Nick brought. I think if Nick, maybe not, because these days, like, these guys are big, like, real, real big. You know what I mean? Like Samson, maybe not this show, but like Andrew's big, Hottie's big, like Derek has a lot of muscle, Martin has a lot of muscle. So it's not that Nick needs to bring that same size, but he needs to bring that shape. He needs to go back like 4 years ago and just find a way to bring that physique on the Olympia stage. I'm not saying it's gonna win, but that's a top 3 physique in my opinion. The Arnold that year was weak. Ian came second. Ian best placing was 7th. So it's not like he beat any big, massive names. I mean, Ian is no slouch, but he's not a top 3. He's not fending for the Olympia title. Like, no way. But if Nick wants to turn this around, he needs to go back not only to the drawing board, he needs to go back in time and look at what he used to look like in the past and try to replicate that, because the way his career is going, it's just not going to end well. The waist is going to keep on growing. You're not bringing the best conditioning. I mean, he did. Pittsburgh was pretty good, actually. I got to acknowledge that. And that was only like earlier this year. And it could be it could be a case to where he just peaked horribly. I mean, I don't know how bad you can peak like that. Like, I mean, coming 7 pounds heavier and having a bloated gut with smaller legs. Like, the legs were smaller. That's crazy that he has smaller legs. Now, on paper, he probably didn't have smaller legs, but when the waist is that big, it's going to throw off your flow downstairs or even upstairs if you don't have arms. Thankfully, in Nick's case, he does have good arms, but he doesn't have good limbs, the legs. You can't afford to have your waist grow at all with legs like that. In terms of the front, his side is fine, his rear is fine. The front, there's like 4 shots from the front. Front double, front lat, ab and thigh, and most muscular. So the quads from the front are quite important. And if he's unable to turn it around, like shrink the waist to make the quads bigger or grow the quads to compensate for the size of the big waist, then what is he going to do? Like, where is he going to go? How is he going to turn this around and place better at the O when we have Andrew Jack finally bringing great conditioning? Martin is coming up, and Martin's been in the top 5 for the last 2 years now. So Martin is solidly in that top 5 spot. I could have made a case for Brandon beating him, and Brandon is like on his way out in terms of his career. So Nick needs to find a way to grow the quads like a lot from the front, like a lot, which genetically as well he doesn't have. He doesn't have those insertions genetically. If he can't do that, he needs to shrink the waist dramatically like he had back in 2021. So if he can't do either of those things, then the only thing he has left is like gnarly conditioning. Like, that's all you can really control now. Like, gnarly, grainy, Dorian-esque conditioning, which Nick isn't capable of Dorian-esque conditioning. Like, there's only a couple guys in the world that can pull that off. Like, Josema is one of them. It's kind of it. Like, he's like maybe Logan. Logan at the Arnold was crazy condition, yeah. So, like, the only 2 guys that can pull off that conditioning, the only 2 guys that can pull off Dorian-esque conditioning is 2 classic guys. Like, I can't think of any open guy that comes close to Dorian from the back. Like, Derek, maybe a little bit, but not from the front, not from the side, because Derek doesn't have any front conditioning at all. So, like, one rare shot doesn't mean that you have Dorian conditioning. So Nick needs to do one of those 3 things. Grow the quads significantly, bring the waist down significantly, or bring crazy Dorian conditioning. Otherwise, it's a wrap. Like, it's a wrap, bro. As of right now, Nick has been radio silence. We've heard nothing. We don't know anything. He just hasn't posted in 4 days. Like, this is not like Nick Walker, but I'm sure he's upset. I'm sure he's just like, what do I do? Like, I could get the emotions and feelings. I could get it. And I mean, like, who am I? Like, don't take my advice. Like, I'm a little natural bodybuilder. Like, I'm not some, high level IFBB nobody. But at the end of the day, like, we all have an eye for this. We can all see what's right is right. And Nick needs to make improvements because that is not right. Quick video. Hope you guys enjoy it. Like, share, comment down below. If you're not subscribed, make it a thing. Sub to the boy, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.